Hi, I'm Sylvia. I live in Calgary, Alberta, also known as Zone 4A. Now I decided to film this video today because I am going to start some tomato seeds. Well, what time is it right now? Well, it's really the end of February. It is -15, -20 outside right now. It's really cold. But I decided that I am going to put my seeds on a heat mat and actually start germinating some of the plants that I plan to grow come spring or summer of this year using. So this is actually seed starting mix from ProMix. I actually got a bunch of this, like 3-4 packs of this last year at the end of the season, so I got it for cheap, and which is why I was hoping to try and use it this year. With gardening, there's a lot of pre-planning, just like right now, again, February, and I'm planning for come May, June, when these plants are actually ready to be planted out in my raised beds and grow bags. So with seed starting mix, it's actually really fine sifted soil. So there isn't really a lot of chunks of wood or huge chunks of anything. Is it perfect? No. I actually found some larger pieces of wood in my seed starting mix, which is supposedly, well, it should be sifted, a finer product, so it shouldn't have things like this in here. But I did find some pieces that are relatively larger. That's actually a small one compared to some of the other ones I found. Do you have to use a seed starting mix? Like, is it a must? No. And I'm telling you from experience because this is my first year actually using seed starting mix. I have always just used regular soil. So all of the potting soils out there, they do have slightly larger pieces of wood or various particles in their mixes, but then at the same time, everything that I have grown in the past still germinated, still came up. I still had a luscious garden. So yeah, I am trying it this year just to see if there's really a difference, like a lot of people say. So yeah, but out of my 14 years of gardening, 13, whichever, I've never had a problem. So I'm not big on buying seedlings from the stores simply because, one, sometimes they don't tell you what variety it is. 2, it costs a lot. For a pack of seeds, I'm paying $2, $3, $4 even, but a plant out there will cost me, what, $5? $15 at Costco? And for me, I'm just like, well, I could start as many seeds as I want and grow as much as I want at a really budget-friendly pricing. And with that said, I can also check out the different varieties that allows me to grow in my climate. And yeah, which is why I decided to start this video today. Now, this first variety is actually called Italian Special Red Pear. I had this seed from maybe 2 years ago, and when I grew it last year, it was actually looks like a pear. It's really uniquely shaped, which I really like. Why I actually started growing this variety was actually because my husband said to me, well, can you grow something a little bit more Italian-y so we could actually use it for sauces? And of course I saw this one type of seed, and this is why I started to grow it. So what I'm going to do is actually put 2 seeds on each of these little plug trays here. Now I will just let it grow out, and I will decide what to do with it after. What I mean by that is I'm not a big fan of thinning out my seeds. A lot of people would just like to keep it to 1 strong seed per plug tray. However, for me, I just let it grow, let it be. I just don't really have a good reason to say, well, why I wouldn't keep each seedling, simply because, well, who am I to say who is the stronger one, who is the weaker one, why Do I get to veto one out? At the end of the day, they're just going to grow for me and I can enjoy them. It's food at the end of the day. Well, I don't have very many seeds left from this one packet. So 2 of this. Oh, by the way, this one pack that I just ripped is actually called Bonnie's Best. Why I chose this one was actually because it said that it is a bountiful, high yielding kind of tomato. So that is what I am after. So that is why, and this one is actually a new variety for me called Manitoba. So Manitoba is excellent for the prairies, which is Calgary, Alberta. We do live in the prairies. It is a determinate type of tomato, which means that I do not need to stake it. What determinate really means is that it will grow to a certain height and then it will just stop growing, and of which a lot of the fruits will actually bloom, or the flowers will bloom at the same time usually, and then it will fruit at the same time usually, which will then give me a good amount of tomatoes. Here in Alberta or Calgary, we don't have a very long growing season. It's really 6-7 months of cold weather, and then of course we do have like 2.5 months of nice sunny weather in the summer, but then we also have about 2 months of cold, chilly, but good sort of sunny weather, which is not enough light or warmth for growing, and of which this Manitoba variety takes 55 to 60 days after transplant to grow, and tomato seeds takes about 6 to 8 weeks to germinate and to grow into a little seedling that's good enough to plant outside. So I know that I said, well, it's the end of February right now, and chances are I will be planting this after May long weekend, because we also get a huge snow dump during May, the long weekend. Usually it's always the long weekend, so everyone's always waiting for the after May long dump to plant out. Otherwise, that big dump of snow will just kill all of the plants we have out there. But of course, I just want to keep my plants nice and healthy. I do have the space that we'll talk about later on, and yeah, just grow them until I can actually put them out in their final spot. Now, this pack that I have is called the Sunfire Improved. It's a 55 to 70 day harvesting variety. Well, why I chose this one was because it was developed in Manitoba, which is really 2 provinces away from Alberta here. It is a variety that also provides excellent yielding. So, and it's also a determinate tomato. So we just put 2 in each of these. Oh, probably put a little too many in that one. Okay, that is fine. Like I said, I am not overly particular if I have too many growing out. At the end of the day, I can always pick it out and then thin it and put it into another tray if I really wanted to. This next one is the Subarctic Plenty. This one actually will be ready in 40 to 59 days from transplant, and this one is actually developed in Alberta for prairie climates. So I'm actually really excited for this one, and it says here at the back of the package that it'll even grow under cold conditions, which Alberta or even Calgary, excuse me, we've been actually experiencing a lot of weird weather. Like, I'm born and raised here, and I feel that every year, especially the last 5 years, the weather has just gone unpredictable in many ways, where cannot get any of the seeds out, where we had really cold Decembers or really warm Decembers, and recently we actually had a month of Chinook, So, which is actually really not the usual case here for us here in Calgary, where again, a month of Chinook, usually it's a few days. Oops, almost took the wrong package. A few days or perhaps a week, but we had a month of really good weather from the Chinook, so yeah, climate change. And now I have the San Marzano. San Marzano is actually a really good one for canning, for storing in the long run. So I have a pack here that I had from previous years that I'm going to finish up. So last year I actually grew a ton of these, and I actually ended up making sauces and putting it into mason jars, storing it in the fridge, and we had a lot of tomato sauce at the end of the day. Now this one is mortgage lifter. Oh, by the way, all of the seeds that I had previous was really much from Mackenzie seeds, so it's actually really easy to find here for us in Canada. This one is actually, like I said, mortgage lifter. This one is from Make It So. So this one was actually sent to me through fundraising. So mortgage lifter. Funny, the name mortgage lifter. The idea of this tomato is actually because, again, it's actually really prolific, high yielding. So at the end of the day, the idea was that it could actually pay off your mortgage because it's just so high yielding. So, and these seeds look actually pretty big compared to the other ones as well. And it says here that I do need to stake it because fruit can average 1 kilogram in weight. So I'm actually really excited for this variety here. It is a beef steak type. It is an indeterminate, so I will need to stake this one, unlike the ones that I've actually spoke of before, where from the varieties that I've just seeded, it's really the Red Pear, the Bonnie's Best, and San Marzano, and again the Mortgage Lifter that are the indeterminates. The other ones are determinants. Now indeterminates, what is it? Indeterminate means it'll just keep on growing until it reaches like 8-10 feet perhaps. So, and they will actually flower and fruit at various stages. So it's not like the determinate where it will just set fruit at one big batch and then that's that. So it'll keep on growing for indeterminates. So this one is from West Coast Seeds. It's actually called Principe Borghese. So it's actually a semi-determinate variety. It is actually a Tuscan heirloom. So this one is actually a new variety for me. It is actually good for canning, making the sauces, pastes, and also, again, some one of the tomatoes for storing for me. I actually read somewhere that it says that this variety actually has a thicker skin, so it's actually good for even storing in the shed after picking. So I am actually going to check that out this year and see how true the statement holds up, because I would love to have some fresh tomatoes and not have to can everything. I just have one seed, I'll just put it here. Like I said, I'm not particularly particular in how many seeds I put in. This one is Black Crim. I'm gonna put it right here. Black Crim. This variety, I actually just stumbled upon a few years ago, and I grew it out last year, and for a moment actually couldn't figure out why the top wouldn't turn red when the rest of the fruit was red. And then I remembered this is a Black Crim. The top of the fruit will always have a darker tinge or color to it. So yeah, and when I cut into it, I was like, oh, this one looks pretty cool. So I decided to buy more seeds this year and grow some more of this one variety. Now, how much do I love to eat tomatoes? I don't. Yes, I just said I don't. And I'm growing this many tomatoes. I don't know why. I love to grow tomatoes, but I also don't like to eat tomatoes. Yes, that's just me, folks. I am gonna grow that many of that. And with that said, it's just one of the things that is really easy to grow. I do like to eat or have tomato sauce for pastas, and also tomatoes for tomato soup. I do love that. I just don't like to eat tomatoes raw. There's just that taste that I don't really like about it. However, just with me growing 10 varieties this year, perhaps I will or should try them out just to see if there's really a difference. I just, like I said, never liked tomatoes, so I can't really tell the difference, but I do have friends who love to eat tomatoes just as a fruit, as is, and I know for a fact they can tell a difference, so perhaps I'll ask them to help me try it out a bit. Now, this variety that I have right here is also new for me. It's called the Sun Gold. So the Sun Gold is actually apparently a really sweet, nice to eat cherry type of tomato, and of which we cannot find it in the store simply because its skin is so delicate that a day or two, perhaps even after picking, it'll actually just split, like rip. So we'll see then the cracks on the skin. So as a result, we'll never find this in the grocery store. So this is where I was saying, unless I grow this, I will never be able to try a tomato variety like this. Now, this one I did buy from online from a new seed store that I have never purchased from. So I'm actually excited to see how this seed grows out. And it says that there's a germination rate of 98%. So I am excited for that. So let me get this on going. And this seed in particular was quite expensive. I believe there's really just 20 seeds in this packet, and that cost me $6 on its own. So I'm not gonna waste this one. Okay, that's that. And with that said, yes, this is a lot of tomatoes. I don't really have a plan for it yet. However, I always have figured out, well, grow more, because I will always be able to either give it to a friend. I am going to plant in my community garden, so there will be a home for all of these. We are now in my garage. It is really cold, that's why I have my winter jacket on. Now we are going to water our plug tray so then our seeds can actually start to germinate. Now, with that said, what I am going to do is bottom water. So how bottom water works is that I'm going to put water in the tray, put my plug tray here on top of the tray of water, and then it will actually start to wick up all the water from underneath. And given that I have extra water that is still sitting in the tray at the end of the day, I'm actually going to come in with a paper towel and just wipe it away. So then my soil, or my seeds even, are not just sitting in water for who knows how long. Simply, like I said, our weather's pretty cold right now. It's not going to dry up or use up that water that fast. Especially right now, we are just germinating the seeds. There's really no roots to actually use up all that water. Okay, so I'm just gonna put some water in. This is from a milk jug, so that I'm using. Looks pretty full. I think that's good enough. So now I'm putting my tray seeds in here, slowly and gently, and there we go. So right now, what you see here, this part here that I'm tapping on, this is actually heated mats. And of course my setup is not all that great. I actually have extension cord here that I've just taped up, and here is an extender so I can plug all of these in. And all it really needs to do is just be warm enough to keep my seeds comfortable as it's germinating and as the season progresses, until I'm actually able to bring it out to harden it outside and to keep it outside, which we'll talk about in a later video. So this one is all set, so I can just leave this one. This I actually got online that I'm trying for the first time, not sponsored or anything. What I really liked about it is it came with a tray like this, and all I have to do is just put my little plug tray on top, and then there's actually a dome that I can use to cover it, so which will help with germinating. And it also came with these lights that I can actually put on top and to provide it light as it grows in the future. So I'm excited to try this out. I've never really tried anything like this before. So also putting some water in. Maybe a little too much, but it's okay. Like I said, I'll come back and take it out if there's too much. And I'll just let it absorb all the water that it wants to absorb. Of course, right now it's floating because my soil is just really light. So as it absorbs, it'll sink, it'll get heavier, and all the water should technically be gone. And I'll just pop this on top just for the time being, and that's that.
Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to get first dibs on upcoming videos. Let's grow together.